Oh! We're live. We're doing a show. We're starting. We're streaming. I can't start the show at 8 o'clock. I want to start it right at 8 o'clock, but it always starts between 8:05 and 8:15. I'm like a rock band. You're not going to start the show right on time. It's always going to, I don't know why. I swear to God, I aspire to start right at 8, and I can't do it. I need to be prepared. I need to know who's trending in the right direction, who's trending in the wrong direction. T. Higgins, quad injury, picked up that late this week. ETN's looking like a long shot. Tyreek Hill, foot injury. He also was downgraded later in the week, so those guys are trending in the wrong direction. McConkey with his hip injury, trending in the right direction. Jaden Daniels trending in the right direction as the Washington Commanders did not elevate a quarterback heading into this game. So, and it's a rib injury, and these are injuries that can be addressed with painkillers and flak jackets and all that. So I expect Jaden Daniels to play. I've been wrong before. So we'll see. But I'm acting as if Jaden Daniels will be playing today. And I'm here to answer your questions about who you want to start, who you want to sit, who you want to stream. Do you have 3 guys you want to throw at me? Do you have a roster that you want to lay out for me and make me read between the lines? Do you want to give me last names that are out of context where it could be 2 or 3 guys and I have to figure out who you're talking about? Which more are you talking about? One of those. That's always fun. Please do that. That's always a joy for me. Hunter Henry or Isaiah Likely. It's always it's Hunter Henry, man. It's always Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's a monster right now. He's got Drake May. Hunter Henry's trending to be like a top 5 tight end every week. I can't believe how available Hunter Henry is on waiver wires. It's wild. We're lucky. We're very fortunate. If we go to our rankings, I have our trusted rankings here. I've done copious amounts of research, and by copious I mean 5 minutes. I mean, I've done some research about who's injured and who's playing, so I have pretty dialed in. Hunter Henry against the Jets. They give up number 22nd in the league fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. Not great, but I'm on Hunter Henry this week. It's between Hunter Henry. If it was between Hunter Henry and Mark Andrews, I think it'd be a question. Now, whenever you guys ask these questions, it makes me think that there's been a Mark Andrews injury, and now I have to doubt myself. I don't see an injury to Mark Andrews. This is why doing a live show, interacting with the chat, is such a pain in my ass. Because now I'm wondering, did I miss something? Because again, I spent at least 5 minutes poring over the injury reports, and I didn't see anything about Mark Andrews. So why are you talking about Isaiah Likely as if it's even close with Hunter Henry? God damn you people. Ugh. JSN or Waddle, it's Waddle. We got Tua back, and we got Tyreek Hill not 100% with a foot injury. It's all about Waddle. This is a Waddle week. I mean, we are going to be under Waddle. They're playing the Cardinals at home? This is amazing. This is dream scenario. You bench Jalen Waddle this week, you're fired. You're fired from fantasy. You're officially fired from fantasy if you bench Jalen Waddle. I would never do that. Bo Nix or Drake, maybe? There's no maybe about Drake May. Drake May is like a must start. Who's not starting Drake May? Drake May's a monster. Oh, the Jets? Oh, word about the Jets? Please, it's a home game. I know the total's not great, but you're going back to Drake May. Drake May he's good. Would you bench Caleb Williams in that matchup? Right? Would you bench Jaden Daniels in that matchup? Because last time I checked also, Drake May's athletic. Drake May, what did he run for? His final year in college, or his second to final year in college. Drake May had a season in college that was shockingly productive as a runner. And we will check that out right now. 2022, Drake May ran for 700 yards at North Carolina. And every year, his yards per attempt went up 8.4, 8.5. And he always had his interceptions. Yeah, he's throwing like 38 touchdowns that year, only 7 interceptions. If he had come out that year, he might have, who knows where he would be right now. But he couldn't, right? He was only a sophomore. He had to go back to school. And he actually disappointed. 2 less games, but a better yards per attempt and a worse touchdown-interception ratio. But so far, so good for Drake May. He's been good. The Jets don't allow a lot of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, but just to give you a sense of what it means to be the 30th ranked team in terms of, the fantasy points that opposing quarterbacks score against their defense, they're top 3 in not allowing fantasy points to quarterbacks. It's still just -3 though. Like, it's just 3 points, 3 fantasy points below the mean. That's not much. That when you look at the Jets versus opposing quarterbacks, okay, the average quarterback is scoring 3 less fantasy points against the Jets. It's not that much, right? That's not that much, especially when your upside is incredible. He already has 540 yards on the season. He already has 68 rushing yards. He already has 5 touchdowns. And Aaron Rodgers has Garrett Wilson, and he has another week to get fully acclimated playing with Devontae Adams again. We could have some real garbage time, and that's all Drake May. That's all Drake May. I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried about Drake May this week. I'm playing him. Not Bo Nix. Look, the Broncos want to run the ball and play defense. That's what they want to do. Who are their receivers? And I know the Patriots don't have great receivers either. But we're talking about Troy Franklin was the best receiver on the team last week. Was their number 1 receiving leader? Come on, man. They're playing the Panthers. This is a Javonte Williams week. This isn't a Bo Nix week. Oh, they're playing the Panthers. The implied points. Yeah, implied points for their special teams. Their implied points for their defense to take an interception for a touchdown. The implied points for Javonte Williams scoring 2 touchdowns. Yeah, this is a great lesson. This question, Bo Nix versus Drake May. When I was a young pup fantasy gamer, I would have absolutely pushed the button on Bo Nix because of the matchup. But actually, the matchup is bad for Bo Nix because of the game environment it sets up. The matchup is good for Drake May because of the game environment that it sets up. And, Sauce Gardner is going to take away his alpha receiver? Who is that? We don't even know yet. So Sauce Gardner has less of an impact on the game, whereas when it's Justin Jefferson, when it's Jamar Chase, then Sauce Gardner can have a bigger impact on the game as well in those situations. Antonio Gibson, Ray Davis, Roschon, or Vidal, it's Ray Davis, man. Ray Davis is consistently outperforming James Cook, and James Cook has turf toe. I have no problem starting Ray Davis. I mean, Ray Davis he's the guy. Of all the handcuffs, Ray Davis is the guy. Roschon is the most talented of those guys, but the problem is, DeAndre Swift's been leading all fantasy running backs in expected fantasy points the last month. Vidal is the best stash. Vidal is just the best pure stash. Although Ray Davis is an amazing stash too. Ray Davis would be a total bell cow if James Cook were to have a long-term injury. Man, Man, I love James. Oh, I love. I don't love James Cook. I love Ray Davis. I obviously don't. Half calf for the win. Yes, this is half calf coffee. I don't know how this became a topic. Wait, what do you mean? What am I talking about? I made this a topic. Why do we keep talking about half calf? That's weird. How did that happen? Oh, yeah. I'm obsessed with it. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, my God. This is like 3 videos in a row. I almost forgot to say like and subscribe the show. Please like and subscribe the show. Like and subscribe the show. It helps me. It helps Theo. It helps everybody. If you like and subscribe, you get to watch the show for free, but also then benefit you. It benefits you because then we get to stick around longer as content creators doing this. So please, it's in your best interest to like and subscribe to the show. It's actually, it's something that you should do for yourself. It's not for us. I don't care. Like it doesn't help. I don't care. But can we afford all these great hosts? Then, the like and subscribing helps that. Tank Dell or Pearsall? Tank Dell, man. Wait, is Nico Collins back? Now you guys are making me question again. Do I got to go back and see if Tank Dell is someone I should maybe think about benching because Nico Collins has returned? Did Tank Dell pick up some injury? This is the Colts. They're at home against the Colts. Tank Dell's a must start. Do not worry about the variance that has plagued Tank Dell. He's had some drops. Those are largely random. He's had secure hands his whole college career and last year. There's no Nico Collins. The Colts get shredded by perimeter receivers. Tank Dell's not a one-dimensional slot receiver. He's very small, but he's a hell of a lot more versatile than a lot of other slot. He's more versatile now than Stephon Diggs is. There's more routes. It's a more diverse route inventory that Tank Dell now has at his disposal than Diggs, where Diggs is like, we got to keep this in the short intermediate areas of the football field. You can do anything with Tank Dell. Will Mahomes nuke the Raiders? I don't know. You look at that game and you're like, well, I guess I got to make sure that I got to make sure I start Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, he's taken off the injury report. Kareem Hunt's a ticking time bomb. So there's 2 ticking time bomb players in the league, Kyren Williams and Kareem Hunt. Kyren Williams was never fast or explosive, and he's been one of the least explosive, least likely to make a play in any given down and distance of any running back in the NFL, per the Player Profiler new EPX metric on player pages. Check them out. Kyren Williams close to dead last, and he is a major injury risk. So those 2 things will conspire to ruin Kyren Williams' season at some point. And I think Kareem Hunt has yet to have a breakaway run yet. So he's doing it just by plodding along and falling into the end zone. That can't last either. But against the Raiders, they're 9.5-point favorites. I love that it's on the road, though. I'm starting Mahomes because it's on the road, and stranger things have happened. Jacoby Myers is playing. Of course, we know they have Bowers. I kind of like the chances. This is one of those divisional matchups. This is a Vegas special. We're looking at a Vegas special right here. Raiders at home, plus 9.5. This is back in my sports betting days. I would be taking the Raiders money line. This is what I would be doing. Because football. They're screaming. They're screaming from the rooftops, take the Raiders in this game. So you consider that when you're making your start sit decisions. You're like, I think I gotta take Mahomes just in case this thing shoots out. It could shoot out a little bit. We'll see what happens. So that's why I'm going to go Mahomes. Plus, he's now got DeAndre Hopkins. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to open things up for Will Fuller 2.0 and Xavier Worthy. So I'm excited to start Xavier Worthy this week too. So I'm starting Worthy. Lots upside for Worthy this week. For all that, it's more about, yes, you're starting Mahomes, but you're also starting Worthy. Just want to make sure that's clear. Tank Dell or Dobbs? Come on, man. Come on. One team has like 2 guys. The other team has 4 guys. Why would you pick the receiver who's one of 4 guys? Take a chance on Higgins or start Dawdle or Pittman. Well, Pittman was taken off the injury report. I think you can just start Pittman. I wouldn't worry about it. I just start Pittman. Pittman is the alpha for Anthony Richardson. If Anthony Richardson, when he throws, he's going to look for Pittman first and foremost. He doesn't go through his read progressions as fast as Joe Flacco does. So that's a problem for Josh Downs and company, not Michael Pittman. So you're starting Pittman. Higgins, this quad and picking up a late week quad injury, not good. Not good. That's right. Bradley's in the chat. Vibes are that Daniels plays, which I said. Thank you, Bradley. Thank you for the confirmation. Why is Player Profiler higher on Pollard than anyone else? The law of the conservation of touches. Are we familiar with the law of the conservation of touches? There's no Tajay Spears. Okay, so after Pollard, there's who? Julius Chestnut. So he's going to be a total bell cow, and it's football. He's an all-purpose skill set. He's been efficient. They're not going to be the most incompetent team. They're probably better now with Mason Rudolph. So with Mason Rudolph, there's even less, Levis scrambling. It's more checking off, checking down to Pollard. Pollard's just going to get there with volume and falling into the end zone and a couple explosive plays and a bunch of targets. There's no receipt. Hopkins is gone. So it's just the law of the conservation of opportunity. That's why we're so often right in these situations where it's like, ew, gross, Pollard on the road against the Lions. Yeah, if he was a between the tackles grinder, I would say bench him, but Pollard's not. Pollard's an all-purpose guy. So he's going to be soaking up targets. Chuba, Kincaid, MHJ, or Andrews? What kind of stupid question is this? War Eagle, you've been in there before. Kincaid? Kincaid or Chuba? What are you talking about? I understand it's the Broncos, but Chuba is the workhorse back for an NFL team. There's also a Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, if the question is Chuba Hubbard or Marvin Harrison Jr., if the question is Kincaid or Marvin Harrison Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr. is fucked. If you have Marvin Harrison Jr., you're panicked. You're drenched in sweat. You can't believe this is happening. So against the Dolphins, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the upside play, and Chuba is if you think you're a favorite, then go Chuba, and if you think you're a dog in the matchup, I go Marvin Harrison Jr. I can't believe I'm saying start Marvin Harrison Jr., but I mean what you're giving me for choices is horrible. It's a very you need to do a better job of down selecting and giving me 2 options to pick from to have an efficient show instead of making me wade through 4 guys. 2 of them didn't have a prayer to start against 2 of the other guys that you mentioned, because one is a primary back who is starting, and one is a number 1 receiver who is disappointing and a total fraud, but still has boom weeks. Baker Mayfield or Russell Wilson? See, this is where we're at. Baker Mayfield is averaging 24 fantasy points per game. It is going to crater down to 14. He's going to lose 10 fantasy points per game because of variance and losing all his receivers. It's a problem, right? It is a problem. And the only reason you're still going Mayfield is because it's the Falcons. And that is a nice matchup for Mayfield, and they're going to have to be playing from behind. I don't understand this. It's only 2.5? Really? There's no receivers. The Falcons are going to roll in this game. I don't get it. You bet on the Falcons, they win by a field goal, you cover. It's like Vegas is begging us to take the Falcons. And I kind of want to take the Falcons because this is one of those where you can tell that Vegas is overthinking itself. Vegas is like, well, the Buccaneers are at home. We're gonna get the public to go Falcons by making it 2.5. Okay, we'll just go Falcons then because you're not factoring in the loss of Godwin and Evans enough. There's a lot of yards and positive expected returns on any given play that Evans and Godwin bring to the table that is not being factored in by this line. This is a wrong line. Wrong. Very wrong. Very bad. Bucky Irving also is hurt, not 100%. Give me a break. I feel bad. Kirk Cousins and company, they never get respect. They don't. No one trusts them. I understand. It's been a decade of Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins, but come on, man. Mayor Anthony Richardson going on the road. He's now back. He's had a week to knock the rust off. I'm going right back to Anthony Richardson. You need to start Anthony Richardson or you need to get rid of him. If you're going to have him and not play him, you need to trade him. So you need to play him. You're forcing yourself to it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, if I call the flop, I need to be ready to also call a bet on the turn. So you either needed to fold Anthony Richardson already or play him. You put yourself in this position. You have Drake May. You didn't need to have I told you to sell low on Anthony Richardson and you didn't. Right? Back when he was, out. Sell the hope that when he comes back. Now that he's back and you have him, you just got to ride him out. Now, after last week, you can't sell low because you won't get anything. So now you're stuck. You're stuck. The moment he sustained that injury, that was the time to get rid of him. Because it's only going to be a week or he might play next week. All that swirling injury, uncertainty. That was the time to sell because you can sell the hope. You can't anymore. Now you're stuck with him and you just got to ride him out. This sucks. Sucks. Oh, God. Look at this guy. What are you doing to me? 7 choices? Do some work. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. You're making me read through all these choices? 7 different people? Flowers or Pollard or Worthy or Bigsby or Dobbs. I can't believe I'm saying this. Oh, God. It's painful. I got to check the rankings just to make sure that I'm not crazy. Let's check the rankings. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Okay. All righty. Okay. All right. Well, unfortunately, our rankings have Travis Etienne as playing, but I think Travis Etienne's trending in the wrong direction, so our weekly rankings will update. Our weekly projections will update very shortly. Even if you combined their fantasy points, their projected, that's not what would happen. A lot of these Etienne fantasy points would go to D'Ernest Johnson. So that's where Tank Bigsby is a complete fraud. I get that they're at home, but it's the Packers and they're 4-point dogs. This is not a Bigsby week, and I would just go Pollard. Again, I would go Pollard. Pollard has upside. Pollard is a great play this week. We have him as a top 10 option this week. You people, you overcompensate for the matchup, especially with running backs with pass catching ability. When it is a Tank Bigsby, they're very matchup sensitive because if the game flow goes against them, they don't have the pass catching ability and the versatility to get there any other way. So there's all these range of outcomes where Tank Bigsby is a total dud, and we saw it 2 weeks ago. We may see it again this week. What happens when the Packers get out to a 14-point lead? Then what? Then what are you going to do with Bigsby? It's going to be D'Ernest Johnson. Pollard's going to be out there for the whole game, and he's going to be chewing up garbage time minutes with catches where he's running free in the fourth quarter. That's how football works. That's how fantasy works. Even though you're thinking, well, the Lions don't give up a lot of fantasy points to running backs. Yeah, well, mostly it's the grinder backs that really struggle against their front seven, but that's also based on a world where the Lions had their best defender, and they lost him. They lost their Aaron Donald. So it's a different world now. Okay. In Detroit, their defense is still great. Okay, but post Hutchinson, not as good. But I don't even think that's being factored into our projections. Our projections are just like, hey, Pollard is gonna get there one way or the other, and you just need to eat it. Yes. Jeremy, I think I've answered this question. Thank you, Jeremy. And I hope that satisfies you. 4 choices again by Nicholas, right? Tyreek Hill, Debo, Achane, Dobbins. Guys, have you not listened to our shows this week? Achane. It's Achane. This is Achane week. If you're not playing Achane this week at home against the Cardinals, you're never playing him. This is the principle. I'm not even a third of the way through the questions. It's already 8:45. I don't know what you people expect from me. We're halfway home, and I'll never get to the end of this. So it's your responsibility to come in with quick rat-a-tat-tat, do your own research, make your own decisions to narrow it down to 2 choices from my flex. Then I can get through this. You throw the 5 choices at me, you're just going to drag the show into the mud, and then it's going to be your fault that we don't get more questions answered. And by the way, because we're the only show in town before 9 o'clock, I can complain about the audience because you can go to some other show, right? I'm sure there's some show somewhere, by some kid that's, hey, I'm gonna do a fantasy show. Talk to him. Olave or Dobbs? Olave's healthy. How quickly we forget about players like Chris Olave. Come on. Why do you people want to start Dobbs so much? What is the fascination? I'll go back to last week. I just got to go back to last week. I just got to remind myself exactly the stat line that you all are so enamored by. Oh my God. It was 8 catches for 94 yards. Oh my goodness, this was amazing. 10 targets for Romeo Dobbs. He was the one that left the team out of frustration because Bo Melton was getting too many snaps. That's a thing that happened. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed taken off the injury report. Tucker Kraft is breaking out all over the place. So what's the problem? There's been plenty of games where Romeo Dobbs was the 4th receiver among the players I've listed. And you're just going to confidently play him over number 1 receivers? What is this? How does this happen? Pop Douglas or Trey Palmer? This is a great question. Thank you. Thank you, Ben Cooper. I wish we could do a reverse where I send Ben Cooper a super chat. I'd love to send Ben Cooper $4. I would. I think he's great. Ben Cooper's a great guy. This is an interesting question. Trey Palmer's starting. Trey Palmer, why are there not more questions about Trey Palmer? Trey Palmer is going to outscore Romeo Dobbs. Trey Palmer is a better player than Romeo Dobbs. He runs a 4.3. He actually has a lot less target competition, and they're going to be in a shootout. But last week, Romeo Doubs had a good game, so... And Pop Douglas is another player who's also better than Romeo Doubs, in a better situation. He's the number one receiver for Drake May. He had, some sickness that was like these guys that were questionable with illnesses, whether it be Walker, Debo, Pop Douglas last week. They get a mulligan. You can't count that week against them. Pop Douglas, back, healthy, energized. He's going to have a great week. I love Pop Douglas. But in this situation, because Trey Palmer runs the 4-3, he has big play ability. I'm going to flex Palmer and gun for the spike week. Flexing McMillan and Palmer is the move. How are there not more questions involving McMillan? Maybe it's because you all are so savvy, you already are locking in McMillan in your flex or your wide receiver 3 spot. In that case, bravo. Palmer, another incredible player to start. These are players that you're frothing. Like it's bubbling up. Instead of point chasing Romeo Doubs and a team where any given week you have no idea who the top 3 receivers are going to be, probably Jaden Reed, and then 2 of Kraft, Dobbs, Watson, Wicks. You have no idea. So you're staring down the barrel of like 3 for 30 for Romeo Doubs. Meanwhile, guys like Trey Palmer can go out and give you 4 for 110 and 2 touchdowns. Shameful. It really is shameful. Realize how easy this is for me? Realize how easy this is to just lay out this advice, roll out of bed, look at the injury reports for 5 minutes. Realize how easy this is? We gotta have the Goodwill Hunting clip just ready to go in that situation. Do you realize how easy this is? I want to light your start-sit questions on fire. That's what I want to do. Realize how easy this is? Tillman, Worthy, or McMillan? What? How is Tillman in this conversation? You people with the point chasing. Why do you think that fringe player X, who happened to have a career game the past week, is going to do anything like he did last week this week? Why? Why? Do you have any... Who? It's Njoku. It's Moore. It's Judy. It's Tillman. 2 of those guys are going to get there. 2 of those guys are going to dud out. Why would you put yourself in that situation? For what upside? Xavier Worthy actually is in a better situation with a better quarterback. You're chasing the upside of Worthy, or McMillan is the floor play. So this is another situation where if you're a favorite, I would just go McMillan, lock in the targets, call it a day. If you think you're a dog, you go Worthy. But even considering Tillman is just not the right process. You need to see another week of Tillman. You know that there's a lot of games on Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy's resume that are better than what Tillman did last week. So it was like 1 week. And we haven't seen a full game of Jameis. We have no idea what we're looking at in terms of target distribution. There's a lot of uncertainty with a terrible team, a terrible offense in Cleveland. Any start that you make of whether it be Judy or Moore or Tillman, like, you do know that it's a coin flip between Tillman and Moore, right? Don't you know that? Right? I know I'm being super condescending. I get it. It's for effect. But, like, you do know that. It's not clear. This is a bad offense. What are their implied points? It's under 40. I mean, it's under, is it under 20? Oh, no. It's not under 20. But it's low. Let's take a look. Let's see what the implied points is. I don't know. Why my math skills have suddenly totally abandoned me at this particular moment is annoying. Yeah, 16.75 implied points. Okay. Well below 20. That's why Nick Chubb is not a strong start. None of these guys are strong starts. When I was talking about Elijah Moore, we're talking about deep leagues where you have multiple flex positions. You start 3 receivers. When you're starting 5 receivers, then you're out to what's 5 times 12 is 62, right? Or 60. $62. Realize how easy this is for me to not do math correctly? So we're talking about 60 receivers. If you go 60 receivers deep, let's pull up wide receiver 60 on our rankings here. I mean, wide receiver 60 is... Here, we do this right now. We can do this right now. I'll show you right now. I'll pull it up on the screen. Let's pull it up. Who is wide receiver 60? Cedric Tillman is wide receiver 55. Okay. Tutu Atwell, Khalif Raymond, Jalen Coker, Tyler Boyd, Troy Franklin, Sterling Shepard, Gabriel Davis, Jerry Jeudy. Of all these guys, who has the upside? There's Elijah Moore. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Who do you think is all the Cleveland receivers in this zone? I didn't even know that. I had no idea that they were all clustered between like 55 and 70. That's where they are, all these Cleveland receivers. See how easy this is for me? I could just intuit that. Of the players in this zone, I'm just going to tell you right now, I like Ricky Pearsall and I like Trey Palmer for upside, just because I like to get upside in my flex. I like to maybe win a week with a little upside play in the flex. McMillan or Dell? That's a good question. Oh, God. Thank you for the good question. This is a tough one. We're going to go back. We're going to go to the rankings here. I'm going to guess Dell in the rankings. Yeah, we have Tank Dell as a top 24 receiver this week. So it's Dell. Dell has the upside. Dell has the stability. And McMillan, yeah, we have McMillan down pretty far. I think we have McMillan down too far in the projections. I like McMillan as a stable option. But it's Dell. It's Dell all the way. All the way. Dell has had some big, huge weeks. Dell had over 1,000 yards last year. Jalen McMillan's done nothing in his career. Cedric Tillman's done nothing in his career. There's a big difference between an established receiver. Also, Jerry Jeudy's done nothing. Let's just not forget that. Jerry Jeudy. What a joke. Jerry Jokey. Really. Worthy, Adunze, or Flowers? So Flowers is trending towards playing. He's a Warrior. I think the right move is to go Flowers here. I'm pretty sure that's the right move. It's easily Flowers. It's pretty easily Flowers. Yeah, I mean, Cleveland, that's their one weakness is fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Plus, you get more of a chain mover type is going to do even better against Cleveland. It's Flowers pretty easily. Rico or Chubb? Well, I think the Cowboys activated Dalvin Cook. That means that Cook is going to get a couple series, which will hurt Rico even more. I hate Chubb this week. It's a terrible game environment for him, but we're going Chubb. Falls into the end zone. Adunze or Tracy? Ew. God, that's terrible. That's such a bad situation. But I'm going to Dunze. Dunze is still starting in 3 receiver sets, and it's the Commanders. So I kind of like Dunze as an upside play this week. Remember, Dunze has a big, hairy 100-yard game against the Colts. So when the matchup is right, Dunze is a guy you can actually play. So I like Dunze this week. Waddle's not scored a touchdown since last December. We know that. He's been bad, and his situation has conspired against him, and he's a good player. So we know Waddle's very good. So here's the thing. We know Waddle's very good, but he's been outscored by Romeo Doubs. Do you think that Romeo Doubs is a better player? If you were starting a franchise today, would you draft Doubs or Waddle? So it's not about the fantasy points, okay? Jeez. Tolbert, Tillman, or Michael Wilson? That's a good question. It's definitely not Tillman, okay? Definitely not Tillman. Who's actually the second receiver who's likely to be in a shootout this week on the road? It's Jalen Tolbert, man. It's all about Jalen Tolbert. And Jalen Tolbert's, going against Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy's going to make this thing a shootout. It's not like Brock. See, the thing is, Brock Purdy doesn't have Christian McCaffrey, so he's going to have to do more. So I like Purdy over Caleb Williams, right? Yes, Purdy's at home. Look at the implied total on the 49ers. It's unbelievable. It's a great situation. I want to tell you all exactly where we have Purdy projected. 18.7 fantasy points this week. And the implied points, 25.75. I love it. I love Purdy this week. Very stable. Now, if you are just going for, I think this is another one of the situations where it's like, if you're a dog, you want a little more upside, I go Caleb Williams. He's more mobile. And with Jaden Daniels playing, then that actually helps Caleb Williams. Man, maybe I'd just go Caleb Williams. Man, maybe it wouldn't matter. I think even now that I'm thinking about it, Jaden Daniels, oh man. Daniels is playing. I think Daniels is playing. All the vibes are positive for Daniels. That's going to really help Caleb Williams. I got to go Caleb in all situations. Dog, favorite, your team, I'm going Caleb. God, I know. Randy's in the chat. Thank you, Memphis. Purdy is I lean Purdy. Initially, I lean Purdy, but you're looking at something truly special that could happen with these two rookies squaring off. This is a rookie of the year showdown. I think I want a piece of that game. I think I would want Caleb Williams. I think it's what you could do is Caleb Williams with a run back, with the stacking, or you could go Jaden Daniels, Dunze, right? You go. I mean, that would be. I think that's a nice little move. That's a nice little GPP move. Would be Caleb and Dunze, with McLaurin, or McLaurin. Well, no. Jalen Johnson's a problem. Oh, man. What do you... yeah. That's the thing that could short-circuit this whole thing, okay? And why I think Purdy is more stable. I think if you're a clear favorite to win, you go Purdy because there's a chance that the Chicago defense short-circuits Daniels. And this was always a risk, right? Always a risk. And that Jalen Johnson, snuffs out Terry McLaurin, then who does he have? Right? So that's a risk. And then that would actually make it more difficult for Caleb Williams to get there because now we're talking about a Swift Roschon week. You could easily get 2 touchdowns from Roschon in this situation. Okay. That's the move. Okay. If you are a clear favorite by, let's say, I don't know, at least an 80% chance of winning, I think you go Purdy. Otherwise, Caleb. That's the best non-answer I've ever given in the history of this show. Debo or Terry? I'm going Debo. I think Debo, listen, they drained his lungs. He's back. He's a primary option for Purdy in a shootout. We talked about the implied points. We talked about the dangers of Jalen Johnson. Man, I'm well prepared to answer this question. I'm going Debo. Start one of Jonnu, Jatavian, or Dalton Kincaid. I'm actually going Jonnu because of this Tyreek Hill foot injury. Vidal or Wright or Isaac Guerrero. Well, oh, it's a roster stash. Thank God you're not starting these guys. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Let's talk about this. So it's not Guerrero. Guerrero's the most exciting guy in a vacuum because the team he's on and that he is one of the most athletic running backs in the league. I mean, have we on this particular show, have we looked at Guerrero's? And I mean, what a fun guy to pronounce, right? That just rolls off the tongue. This guy is a hero. This guy is amazing. Look at this. I love him. But McCaffrey's supposed to be back, week 11? And so if they're saying week 11, that means week 12. So probably week 13. Anyway, fantasy playoffs, McCaffrey's back. What are you trying to draw out to in the river here? Right? You got to get an injury to Mason, and then McCaffrey has to have a setback. So that's not likely. As great as it is, you're drawn to the nuts with Guerrero. I get it. But what's the probability? Low. But you have a winning hand in Kamani Vidal. J.K. Dobbins, a ticking time bomb. Okay, so we have a time bomb list. I should do a whole video. Put it in the chat, in the comments. Let me know. Do you want me to do a ticking time bomb video where we have Kyron and J.K. Dobbins and someone else that I said was a ticking time bomb, which is like an obvious ticking time. I forgot already. But there's other ticking time bombs out there. So I could probably make a list of ticking time bombs. Is Devon Achane a ticking time bomb? Just on injury. That's not, I don't think that's enough. Kareem Hunt's a ticking time bomb on efficiency. Kyron Williams is both a injury and inefficiency ticking time bomb. And J.K. Dobbins is an injury ticking time bomb. And I'm sure we can come up with some others. We know Rico Dowdle's already a time bomb because Dalvin Cook, whoops. So who to stash between Jalen Wright on one hand and Kamani Vidal on the other? When you go to Player Profiler, you see they have very similar athletic profiles. Actually, Vidal's quite athletic, and he has an easier path to workhorse touches than Wright does because Wright also has to deal with Mostert. And I would argue J.K. Dobbins is as fragile at this point, based on his injury history, as the diminutive Devon Achane. So I think the teams are sort of equally attractive for a stash running back. One is going to be unlocked with Tua, and the other one has the best young offensive line with a run-first coach. The Dolphins have the stretch zone running scheme. It's close, but I think that it's a easier line to take by stashing Vidal. And Memphis is front-running me in the chat now. Look at Memphis front-running me in the chat. Memphis, why'd I even wake up if you're going to be here answering these questions correctly? Why am I even here? We have Memphis. He's killing it. JSN or McMillan? McMillan hasn't done anything yet. Let's just start JSN. You've been waiting for this moment. No This is what drives me nuts. You have a guy, like especially in Dynasty, okay? You have a guy who you've been waiting for this moment for more than a year. The moment comes, and now you're like, but I could start McMillan. Just start JSN. What are you worried about? Will the Bears trade Khalil Herbert? I think Travis Homer was elevated, and they released Velus Jones. So now they have 4 just straight-up running backs on the roster. No, it doesn't make sense. Why would you elevate Travis Homer over Velus Jones when Velus Jones is like one of these versatile gadget, special teams? I would vacuum up Velus Jones. You do not want to drop Velus Jones if I'm lurking on the waiver wire in the NFL. I would vacuum him up. That was a mistake. They must have something in the works for Herbert. They must. Herbert's gone. It's got to be. Got to be. Roschon Johnson is a bum. Well, that's a stupid thing to say. Good luck saying that to his face. Okay? He's actually not a bum at all. And if you looked at his athletic profile and his production in college, there'd have been no way you could ever imagine that he'd be this slick of a receiver in the NFL. So all he's been doing to this point is exceeding expectations and surprising people in a positive way. And being a team leader and commanding touches, especially in the green zone, away from DeAndre Swift, who fantasy gamers want to get all these touches, but Roschon Johnson is the guy they trust inside the 5-yard line. To get to that level of trust, the work ethic you have to have is exceptional. And the amount of pain you have to go through to get to that point, the amount of collisions that you have to demonstrate, hey, in all these scenarios, the ball's not going on the ground. Good luck doing that to you, sir. Good luck. Good luck. You're clearly a weak person who does not appreciate the gladiator spectacle that we are watching every week. And shame on you, and never listen to this show again. Worthy, Elijah Moore, Tillman, or Tracy Jr.? Worthy. Can we just all play Worthy? If there's ever a doubt about fringe players and Worthy, it's Worthy. If you need upside, if you're a dog, Worthy. There's so many situations where it's Worthy. He 4x'd the targets of the next receiver on the totem pole last week, and the guy that they brought in just arrived 2 minutes ago and is not going to be fully ramped up yet. And it's the Raiders. Let's do this. Let's go. Yes, like and subscribe this. Thank you, Randy. Memphis is killing it right now. Debo or Terry? I think you guys have a lot. I like that. Theo and I have a Kings Classic team with Terry and Debo. So that shows me that you all know what you're doing. You got to bench Terry this week against Jalen Johnson. That's a very clear. It's a rare thing that we actually get a cornerback wide receiver matchup that you can trust as like a 70% snap share, shadow snap share. If I'm Jalen Johnson, what am I going to do? What, am I going to masturbate against like Luke McCaffrey? Who fucking cares? Jalen Johnson's in it to win it. Did you watch Hard Knocks? He's like, hey, Rome, I need you for an hour after practice. Rome's like, cool. He's like, cool. You're a dog. I'm a dog. Woof, 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 woof. You know what I mean? And then they're out there working in the middle of the summer in Chicago. If you've been in Chicago for the summer, it's pretty brutal, right? I did summer camp with the Northwestern Wildcats in Kenosha, Wisconsin, as a football manager. And even as a football manager, I'm not even doing anything. I mean, I'm doing stuff, but it was excruciating. And Rome and Jalen are like an extra hour after practice, just one-on-one, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. These are that guys. It doesn't take that many of that guys, of dog level players like that, for it to permeate the entire culture. And so all your coach nonsense, all the stupid, over indulged coach worshiping on the one hand, and the coach criticism on the other, it's all nullified by the actual players that want to establish their own culture and fuck the coach. Who cares about Shane Waldron if all the players are coming together and being like, this is what we're going to do every week. We're going to each win our own individual matchup. If each player is winning on their individual assignment and winning on their individual matchup because they're just that guy, they're elite level athletes that have elite level work ethics. And think about all these players. That's DJ Moore. We know that. That's Roshan Johnson. We know that. We know that that's a bunch of their defenders. That's how they're wired. They happen to have, this is why they say culture matters. This is not an individual sport. This isn't even a team sport like baseball, where a guy doesn't even know who's on their team. Like, they don't know. Guys, they don't even know who the relief pitchers are. The hitters don't even know. They don't give a shit. Doesn't matter. You're just going out there and you're doing your thing. But in football, if you have people that are a cohesive unit and they're all winning with their individual matchups because they're putting all this extra work in and they're that crazy intense, this is why I'm suspicious. That could be a ticking time bomb. DeAndre Swift is a ticking time bomb in the context of the Chicago Bears culture, which has nothing to do with Eberflus. This has nothing to do with Waldron. They can't impact the game the way you people, and when I say you people, I mean the coach worshipers and the coach first fantasy analysts want to, the way they talk about players as if the coach has all this huge disproportionate influence on their outcome. It doesn't. And Rome Odunze and Jalen Johnson exemplify this, where Waldron can be as incompetent as possible, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Rome is going to get open because he's that guy, because he's been going for an hour after practice every day against Jalen Johnson. That means he's going to get open, and then that football is going to be delivered to him inside or outside of the play structure that happened to be called. And all Waldron's going to be able to do is just sit back and go, wow, that was great. I didn't call it that way. I actually thought he should have gone over there, but the great play, guys. Like, I'm just a fan at this point. Coaches. You people with your coaches, honestly. Waldron's a big problem. You don't know anything. What do you know about Waldron? Shut up. That's the thing. If you talk to actual NFL players and you'd be like, hey, so these fantasy analysts, these frauds at all these websites, they claim that like Arthur Smith or whoever is the reason you're not performing and the reason is holding back your statistics. And these players, they just roll their eyes. They're like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. Like, the reasons why was this short-circuited with the team and the offensive line, and it was actually an injury to a guard that was the big waterfall that created the cascading issues with our offense, which is why the quarterback didn't have enough time, and then that's what short-circuited. It had nothing to do with the guy on the sideline holding the clipboard calling plays that everyone in the league calls. Shut up. Shut up. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know where that came from. Jalen Johnson's awesome. Terry is scary this week. That's what we're talking about. Ooh, we're into bonus time already. A lot of other fraudulent analysts that love to talk about coaches are going to start to come online with their starter stream shows. So if you need your question answered, you probably should go to those shows because I'm never going to get to most of these. This is crazy. Reed or Debo, non-PPR. That's a good one. Debo all the way. We're playing Debo this week, guys. Isn't this the situation you wanted? What are you worried about? The lungs? You worried about the pneumonia? These are elite level athletes. They get over these things very quickly. They're not normal humans. Debo's going to be just fine. Garendo or Ray Davis? Ray Davis. DJ Moore or Brian Thomas Jr.? Ooh. Because of all the target competition in Chicago, healthy Keenan Allen, that's why I lean Brian Thomas. I had to come around on Trevor Lawrence, right? I didn't know Brian Thomas would be this. I didn't know. But as soon as I realized Brian Thomas was this, I had to be like, wait a second. I need to change my priors and my position on Trevor Lawrence. That was a fun realization. Being a Bayesian and a flip-flopper is fun because it's like, hey, I'm changing my position based on new information that's coming out. I'm exploring this. This is an intellectual exercise. This is cool, right? Look at how downtrodden Trevor Lawrence is. Wow. This is a buying opportunity, right? You think like Wall Street traders act like fantasy trolls? Like you're flip-flopping on the company X, right? Now, the government passed a new law. And now this supplier is in a great position to absolutely manufacture and sell 2x the number of units they did last year at this time. This company's suddenly a buy. Do you want them to not buy? Should the Wall Street trader not buy that stock? Because a year ago, the landscape was different, and that company did not have the same outlook. Like, ridiculous. Pollard over Chubbard, of course. Yeah, this isn't a great situation for Hubbard. The only reason we talked about playing Hubbard is because someone was like Kincaid or some tight end. Come on. Daniels or Mahomes? That's a good question. Right? Oh, Stalder. Look at Stalder. He does a show on YouTube with a Projections Edge show showing where we're the most bullish and the most bearish versus consensus on players every week. We're very bearish on Marvin Harrison, but still, some of these questions are like, do I start Marvin Harrison or some fringe tight end? It's like, okay, you're starting Marvin Harrison over Isaiah Likely, you people, honestly. You see how Bradley, you see how I turned that into a start-sit from a anonymous buzzard that didn't eat? That was good. We're going. I think we're going Daniels. We're going Daniels based on the potential game situation, and with Jalen Johnson locking up Terry McLaurin, there's going to be more running for Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden Daniels this week. Wandale or Ridley? Ooh, we got to go Ridley. Ridley, the game situation's good for Ridley. Mason Rudolph is good for Ridley. This is a good situation for Ridley. I'm back on Ridley this week. He's off the injury report, right? They're huge dogs. They got a quarterback upgrade, and they lost their receiver. Okay? This is 1, 2, 3, 4 checks for Ridley. And this is the low point. This is when no one wants him. You should be trading for Calvin Ridley right now. Yes, I said it. Because I don't hate players, I hate ADPs. And now is a situation where his valuation is actually below his season-long projection. There's some upside there with Calvin Ridley. We've waited all this time, 10 years, to get excited about Calvin Ridley. Now the price is finally right. us bargain shoppers. The price is finally right. The book value of this company, it's finally being valued below its book value, right? There was all this hype and this, the PE ratio was 100. It was the crazy euphoria about Calvin Ridley for so many years, and we were shorting the shit out of that stock, shorting it all the way to 50 cents. Now you can buy the thing for under its like book value. You could sell it for scraps and make more money. That's when you go and buy Calvin Ridley. That's right now. Douglas or McConkey? Ooh, McConkey's going to play, I think. Trending towards playing with the hip injury. I like McConkey. No Quentin Johnston with the ankle injury. No, I'm going back to Demario Douglas. I believe in Drake May. I believe in Douglas. Just like I'm playing Walker. I'm playing Debo. All these guys that were sick last week, I'm going right back to these guys that I trust. I think Demario Douglas is the true alpha there. I think it's a clear start for him. We know that Drake May is going to have to throw. I like Douglas there. Kind of like it. Start Olave over Tracy. I think so, right? I mean, did I miss something? Is Singletary not playing? This is another thing where I'm like, what happened here? Devin Singletary, is he playing? I don't see him not playing. There's no news about him not playing. Motor's playing. That you think, that Tracy might be the lead back? Okay. They're not just going to erase Motor. They love Motor. They paid Motor. He's a team leader. They're not going to erase him. They're going on the road with the fewest implied points of the week to the Steelers. And you're trying to start a member of a specialist backfield in that situation? What? Olave, come on, man. What are we doing? Saints are going on the road. Heavy dogs. They're going to be airing it out. Diggs or Pickens? Diggs, man. It's a Diggs week. Dig it out. This is what you wanted. Didn't you want Diggs with no Nico Collins? Come on. I'll make sure. I'll check the projections. We have Diggs as a top 5 receiver this week. Come on. Buffalo D or Chicago D? Ooh. I don't think the Chicago D is that exciting. Chicago D is great. Buffalo D going on the road. Yeah, I'm just going to go Chicago D. Just because if I'm Jaden Daniels, I don't like my options every play. My options suck because of Jalen Johnson. Dell, Garrett Wilson, or Javonte start one non-PPR? Oh, God. First of all, it's non-PPR, so you're starting the running back automatically. Now we've got Denver in one of the more run-heavy game scripts you could possibly drop in fiction. Javonte's been a machine. He's a total workhorse. This isn't even in the same universe. This isn't a question. How did this person tune into the show and then type up this question? What were they thinking? We're like, I don't know about Javonte. I don't know if I trust him. Maybe going to go with Dell, who's been a total wild card, or Garrett Wilson. No idea what's going to happen with him this week. Come on. We're working into overtime. Yeah, the update right now for ETN and Bigsby is interesting. ETN, the last time I saw it is that the news was he's trending towards not playing. So I don't know if there's been any updates to that, but last time I checked, trending towards not playing. Let's make sure we check the news again. See if we have any updates on ETN. I don't think he's playing. He might be playing. Who knows? Long shot to play, according to Ian Rappaport. Though T. Higgins, according to Jeremy Fowler, is feeling better. So we'll see how he feels. Don't love that. Don't love that. Oh, my God. Adam Schefter reports the teams are eyeing Christian Kirk ahead of the trade deadline. Oh, my God, please. Oh, my God. Well, that would save Evan Ingram, because Evan Ingram has a Brian Thomas problem. That would be really good for Evan Ingram and incredible for Brian Thomas. Oh, my God. That would be so good. So good. Bigsby or Rashad White? Child, please. Child, please. It's Rashad White. Rashad White's going to be the big beneficiary of all these targets. It's like, oh, Jalen McMillan. Don't look past Rashad White. You people with your Tank Bigsby. I mean, ugh. It's just gross. Gross. Some of the players you want to play. So let's just go through it. Some of the players I laugh in your face about. Let's just do a laugh in the 3 minutes to go. I should have been out of here a long time ago. All this bonus time. Well, actually, no. I'm giving you this bonus time because I went on this big coaching rant, which I do every month. I do some live stream coaching rant. So for that, I'm making up for it with all this extra bonus time. So players that you want to start for all the wrong reasons are the following. Cedric Tillman, joke. Romeo Doubs, pathetic. Pathetic that you want to start him. Absolute joke. Shameful. Okay? Who else? Who else do you people want to start? Oh, Tyrone Tracy. Get over yourselves. What are you doing? Stop it. Stop it. And Tank Bigsby. Enough. I mean, the one thing Tank Bigsby, I will say, has going for him is, thankfully, it's a home game. That's the one. If they somehow get a lead, if Jacksonville can get a lead, then we're looking at 12 fantasy points for Bigsby, touchdown and 60 yards. It's possible. It's possible. But he's no good. He's not good. Ugh, God. There's people out there, I bet. What do you think the probability is? What do you think the ratio is, actually? The ratio. What's the ratio of fantasy gamers that have Bigsby and Pollard that start Bigsby over Pollard? What's the percentage? 75% start Bigsby? That's why this game's too easy. This game's so easy to play, right? It's so, if I wasn't out here helping to build Fast Draft and do all this, doing all these shows and just having so much fun with Theo and all my friends, and and just being a total condescending douchebag to the audience on a regular basis. If I didn't have that, I would have, hundreds, thousands of FFPC and underdog teams and just be rolling in cash because of this silliness. Rodgers or Anthony Richardson? You got to play Richardson. It's your fault. I don't trust him, but this is your fault. You put yourself in a situation where now you have Anthony Richardson and they're playing Houston on the road. You have to play him. You have to. Jalen McMillan or Cedric Tillman? Jalen McMillan. Jalen McMillan. Brian Thomas or Jalen Waddle in flex? That's a great question. Brian Thomas is better than Jalen Waddle, and I think Jalen Waddle's fantastic. But I have Brian Thomas as being one of the best receivers in the league. And they're going to be in a shootout with the Packers. and this is Tua's first game back. And Tyreek Hill is probably what's the likelihood? I don't know if there's been any news about him. He guts it out. You think Tyreek Hill guts it out? He's expected to play, right? Schefter has him expected to play. So he's going to gut it out. You got to go BTJ. BTJ all the way. BTJ all the way. BTJ all the way. Shakir or Tillman, now we're talking. This is an interesting one. Shakir or Tillman. I like Shakir. I want the offense. What we talk about? 16.75 implied points or something for the Browns. Of all the silly players you all are considering starting, Tillman has to be the silliest. I think it's the silliest one. I think it's the clown move. It's the clown donk move of all donk. Because it's got everything. It's point chasing. It's chasing a low game total. It's chasing quarterback uncertainty. You're actually not even getting the best receiver on the team, which is David Njoku, and then it's a coin flip of whether it's Moore or Tillman as the second best receiver on the team. It's not Judy. So there's just so many things that are wrong with this whole Tillman dalliance. I don't even know why you people have him on your rosters. There's got to be someone better, right? Like, I guess the argument is we don't know what Jameis Winston is, and if it's a very deep team that you can actually accommodate bench receivers, there isn't many bench receivers I'd rather. I would like to see what happens. It would be interesting if he puts together 2 consecutive, 10-target weeks with Jameis playing the whole game, especially this Sunday. That's when everything shifts for Tillman, but we don't have that information yet. We don't know. But it would be nice to stash him and find out. So Tillman is a stash. This is a stash player. I hate stashing receivers, but if there was an argument to stash receiver, it would be Tillman. But you people considering starting him makes my brain hurt. Okay? And you should be ashamed of yourselves for even thinking about it, for even considering it. Ladd McConkey or Zay Flowers? It's Zay Flowers all the way. That's not even question. You're flexing Alexander Madison, by the way. I know it's disgusting, but you're flexing Alexander Madison over any fringy receiver for sure. Flowers or Waddle? Ooh. With Hill playing, I go Flowers. Higgins or Rome? I'm going to chase the Rome upside. With Higgins not 100%. He's going to give it a go. He's going to warm it up. I hate that. Rome plays a similar position. It's actually pretty similar games. Rome is like an explosive version of T. Higgins. So I'm going to go Rome. Shakir or Pearsall? Kind of like the Pearsall upside. Kind of like it. Anyone asking about Trey Palmer? I go Trey Palmer. Not over Pittman. This is a different class of player. Over Downs? Yeah, that's the question. Over Downs? I'd go Palmer. That's a good one. Bigsby or Chase Brown? I'm going Chase Brown. I'm pretty tired. I think I'm tired. I think I've done this for however long now. Hour, 20 minutes. McMillan or Odunze? I'm just going to go with Odunze there. I'm going to go. Let's wait and see. As much as I am liking McMillan and liking Trey Palmer, this is if you're talking about fringier options like Khalil Shakir, players like that. Like even Ladd McConkey. Like Ladd hasn't delivered a lot of upside. But when we're talking about players with real upside, Xavier Worthy, Rome Odunze, like high quality plays, especially in high quality matchups. That's not what we're talking about. we're not considering Palmer or McMillan or I know you people are loving Tillman. Like, joke. Okay, what is this guy saying? You're funny, but there's no such thing as fantasy experts. What do you mean? Yeah, there are. So the fantasy experts are the guys that cash in high stakes leagues and they come on this show. Or they're like top 5 in fantasy pros and they work at Player Profiler. That's an expert. Right? I mean, Sean Corner. You know, it's not just Player Profiler people. Sean Corner. Like, and these are people that we have on the show all the time. John Paulson. Okay, these are fantasy experts. I mean, you can't do what they do. You can't finish top 5 year after year. Justin Boone from The Score. You can't finish top 5 year after year like they do. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. But if I had to bet, I would bet against you like thousands of dollars doing it. Could you out-earn on a per-team basis Dan Williamson, Billy Muzio, Theo Greminger at the FFPC? No fucking way. No way. So, by those definitions, those people exist. There's just not that many of them. Like, I just pretty much named all of them. I mean, I missed a few, and I love those people. I love them. I mean, there's, friends of mine in the industry, Rich Rebar, and many, many others that are good. But we're talking about, what, 20, 25 people? Most, and how many fantasy analysts are there? Think about it. So, and the more they talk about coaches, the less credibility they get, right? So that's my point, right? That's my only point on this. I didn't say they don't exist. They exist. The premise of my whole position is solid. Nice try. Nice try. Oh, listen, I love a little nihilism in the morning. Right? I love a little nihilism with my coffee. I love it. Oh, yeah. Great. It's awesome. Please. Those are the kind of comments I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about McMillan, Hopkins, or Higgins. Pick one. Half PPR. Fuck you. I don't want to talk about that. What are you going to do? You're going Hopkins. Hopkins is the new number 1 for Mahomes. He just got off the plane. Who fucking cares? You're going Hopkins. I'm out.